Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're going to be playing some blue-white Battlefront Synthesizer here today, and the main card in the list is Senurlacum Synthesizer, but we did get some new pieces to go alongside of it to make it a lot more explosive and a lot better overall, and that is this card right here right away that we'll cover first. If you do not know what this card is, a card that has recently spiked a lot in paper. If you have a couple copies, maybe check out that price and maybe you might be offloading it. However, when this artifact enters, you scry 2. Another artifact you control with mana value 3 or greater enters. We create a construct. That construct's power and toughness are equal to the number of artifacts we control. Therefore, any of these other artifacts in play, our construct gets big, we one-shot our opponent, or we at least have lethal in 2 turns because the constructs get unreasonably large. And what's the new cards we have in, being 2 of them, being the United Battlefront. This is a collected company style card for non-creatures, but it is sorcery speed, which does hold it back a little, but you know, some things have to have restrictions. When this isn't just creatures, you know, it's a lot scarier. But look at the top 7 cards of your library. Put up to 2 non-creature non-land cards with mana value 3 or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So the idea is to hit a synthesizer along with another 3 mana artifact, or just a synthesizer and another artifact for value like a spring-loaded trap or a clay fire bricks, and so on and so forth. And the final card that we added that is new is Elspeth's Storm Slayer. Synthesizer is very good, especially whenever you have 2, but we can effectively always have 2 if we have an Elspeth in play. And honestly, what this card acts like is a Crater Hope Behemoth in a way, because oftentimes we have a lot of power and toughness that can be blocked with 1/1s, and the amount of fountain ports that are going around, or like the Caretaker's Talents and stuff, putting a lot of little 1/1s in the way. We can just give our creatures flying, swing over the top, and instantly game with this card. But if you don't know what this does, if 1 or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many tokens would be created instead. +1, make 1/1 white soldier creature token. Most likely this is going to make 2 tokens, so it's kind of deceiving on the plus. The 0 ability, allowing us a +1/+1 counter on each creature we control. Those creatures gain flying until end of turn, which makes those 1/1s pretty devastating. And then we have a -3, destroy target creature and opponent controls with mana value 3 or greater. So it is also a removal spell that can kind of come in and do it multiple times, or buff our board, or make more board presence. Outside of that, the only thing I'll bring up is we did have a variation of the deck we were playing. Eventually, we added the Mightstone Weakstone into the deck, so this card won't be there at first, but then it'll appear, or vice versa, depending how I match up the games. But with that said, let's go ahead and dive in. My opponent's first. I have Synthesizer, I have Trap, I have Surveil Land, so I think I'm fine. This is Omniscience, so then I probably can't beat that. Temporary Lockdown's going to go, especially if I see a blue-white land. Not going to waste my time. S? You actually blue-white control? Huh? Try this off. Okay, that's a deduce. Alright, cool. Front's pretty good. Mightstone Weakstone's also good. I think I just want to keep like this. Play land, play second Synthesizer, have Mightstone Weakstone ready to go. The turn following like a Battlefront activation, maybe. Play land, cast second Synthesizer. Gotta have a counterspell now, right? Okay. That could be the only one they had, because they let the spell resolve first, and I believe they had the mana up, because I was on the draw. So yeah, they definitely had the 3 mana there. It was available. Sure. Alright, do we have a bad time, or do we have a good time? Do we know any cards on the bottom? I didn't think so. Let's then here first. Get spell pierced here. Holes in walls. Sure. Well, I guess we'll take Biza away, because if I can use my Mightstone Weakstone as a draw, I'll be pretty happy. Now I have a 2-turn clock in play that can definitely accelerate. Mightstone Weakstone would be an awesome draw here. Could be a temporary lockdown we're looking at, or something here, maybe. Be a second Biza. Unsure. Really putting the pressure on blue-white. They missed that counter spell for the synthesizer. Now they're getting punished for it. Second Biza. So no more cards. They just make tokens. Making tokens in front of me like that. I'll go for this. And honestly, I feel like Biza is going to block. So I'm just going to draw 2 cards. One of those things where we just make them have it, kind of. Here's this. Fine with me. Then I can just say go. Didn't have anything last turn, but that doesn't mean overcommit here. I have lethal on board and it's not close, so there's not really a reason to overcommit. Especially considering I can play a snare, remove this Biza at any point. Temporary lockdown does exist. The cards they are allowed to play. It hits nothing other than my constructs though, which is fine. You attack me? Awesome. I get value off the spring-loaded trap. 5 damage. If I'm them, not pumped about that at all. Now I have an uncounterable way to put synthesizers in play. Sure. Then every single turn, I'm just going to make more and more and more constructs, which is pretty awesome. I think having 2 synthesizers is about the maximum we want at any one time. Activate here. Yeah. Card's acting a little weird in this hand per se, because we don't really have a lot other things we want to do. Like, pain's just fine enough without it. Then I will go ahead and play second Repurposing Bay, I suppose. Make enough constructs to find lethal here. Then I will pass. Again, we just every single turn we want to present lethal if we can. And having 2 synthesizers in play will do that, especially when it comes to like playing bigger artifacts. We could go to 3 synthesizers. I don't know if there's a card that destroys all artifacts that they could be playing as blue-white synthesizer. What do we even call this? Is this an aggro deck, a mid-range deck? The 3rd Biza though is quite crazy. I keep playing Biza, which is more copies of Biza than I've ever seen in a blue-white control list, but pretty much the same boat here. We don't really do anything that lets them get too much value. We just swing all 9 of these. They might not block with Biza, which is kind of cringe, I guess. I don't really want to remove Biza. Go to combat. Swing for half your life total, pretty much. I guess Elspeth at some point would be good, because that would just help us win the game on the spot. Are you really going to take a 9 hit? They are. They're going to keep Pisa around and take half their life total as a strike. That's fine with me. I don't know if I'm bold enough to do it. I'm going to make this even harder for them. I'm going to go grab my 1000 Moon Smithy, and then we'll tap it next turn. So that anytime we cast an artifact from our hand, even if it's not necessarily good, we'll definitely make enough tokens to do whatever we want to do this turn. And then now our Volt's going to get rid of a temporary lockdown. We're going to go grab an Elspeth, hopefully. I feel like looking at 12. I was about to say 12 as randomly because I just kind of quickly glanced. But I feel like looking at 12 cards, we should be able to find what we want. I wonder if they have the Sunfall. Or the lockdown or whatever. It's got to be Sunfall now. Sure, we want to activate this now while we get maximum looks. This. Elspeth. There you are. I'm not even looking at the rest of the cards. I don't care. The rest of the cards do not matter to me whatsoever. We want this to be flipped. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm gonna play here. Want to activate this. Go grab a island probably. Plains left. So we have 5 and we have 3 mana. So I could snare here. Make 2 constructs, but I'm going to do that after I play this Elspeth. Elspeth. I can pay for no more lives. That's why we're doing it this way. There. You could have a get lost, I guess. Maybe I should have activated Elspeth first. Which is like weird, but that's okay.
Even in this darkness, light will shine.
This is mine. I guess like hindsight, definitely just activate Elspeth first because it's going to make 2 guaranteed. Or I guess it would only make 1 guaranteed, but it'd still make a token, right? Sure, Gnome cares about, but nothing else really does. But every single creature we currently have in play is now lethal, which is why I was really confused that they let us hit them. I don't think the Biza swing at any point is worth it, but I don't know what their hand is, and I don't know what their plan was, so it's always weird. There's always a chance that you can like pick your Biza back up. Another Sunfall, sure. Fine by me. Land. I'll cast Might Stone Weak Stone. Off Might Stone Weak Stone. I'll make a construct. You could 3 steps ahead me here. Don't. Also, I do have to be careful with a J swing con. I'll draw 2. Yep. Okay. Snap. Just picking ones at random because I can. Alright, cool. Oh, it's pretty good when it just draws cards every time. But again, we'll activate the Vault. We'll discard, I don't know, probably Fable Passage here. And we'll look for a second copy of Elspeth the best we can. It's transformed. Sure, they can sack it to draw a card if they want. Again, every single one of our creatures is lethal. Something they have to worry about. Because again, they let me hit them. Whereas if they were in a spot like this, they could have potentially done other things. Sure. Fine. I have no reason to budget this at all. Yeah. Elspeth Smite. Definitely not a card I would keep. You have a Temp Lockdown? Of course we do. Of course we do. Oh boy. No Elspeth there, so I'll just grab a Synthesizer. Play Fire Bricks is fine. Play second Volt. Cast Synthesizer. All this nonsense. Every artifact we can play is just good. There you go. Once again, I have lethal on board. I'm presenting lethal literally every single turn. If they crawl out of it and they somehow win after being able to like stall with Biza, another Biza, Sunfall, temporary lockdown, then sure. Like I'll take it. But it just sucks if I lose because it's like I don't know what else I could have done. I could go for a Saw Blade here and then pop this, I guess. I mean, I have plenty of cards to do that, so I think I'm going to. Repurposing Bay doesn't matter that much. Or grab... I guess I can just grab my Elspeth now. Enough mana to do that? 1, 2... No. So, sure. I have an Elspeth. They can activate their map. They can do everything. My turn? Land combat. You're able to answer. See, if they use Get Lost, a Hornlock Whale. Interesting. I suppose. Go right on top, buddy. Get lost. It doesn't work. It's second Ornlock Whale. Take a look. Doesn't necessarily get me there though, right? Like if I grab this, doesn't do it. Because I'll be short. Actually, no, I can find lethal here. Sweet. Use a white here. Cast this. Solve. Now it'll make a gnome and then now count as my last artifact. So we find it there. Legally enough, but holy cow, does that blue-white player actually deserve to win? Everything that could have gone right for them was going right in terms of finding board wipes, temporary lockdown, stalling just long enough. And of course, we've got the Elspeth. They had to get lost for it. I don't know what these last two cards are, but I would assume there are more board wipes. It's just crazy. My opponent's first, best card in our deck in our hand. Not a ton of interaction. We do have fire bricks, but we do have a lot in our deck in terms of interaction. So hopefully we can find it in general, but we'll see. Green white sources domain. This will tell us a lot based on what they fetch, I guess, but yeah, I think it's just domain, which is unfortunate. Honestly, probably one of the harder matchups I could think of. Domain can't be much in the current meta as is in terms of best of one gameplay. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just big doppelgang effects, so it's not just like straight up domain. But wow, do I hope these battlefronts hit. I'm already out of basics, by the way, pretty much. Fable Pass is maybe not our greatest asset right now. No Overlord coming up. I'm going to just... what do I even do? I'm just going to thin out more. I don't even care if they know. I want it to be as unlikely as possible for us to hit as many lands as possible whenever we start casting these. These are going to be so explosive every turn. Just casting them, hopefully hitting some synthesizers and stuff. We'll see. Although if they are a doppelgang deck, we're like the perfect matchup because they'll just copy all of our stuff and then go bigger than us. That's why we have Elspeth to kind of play it as a credible answer. They keep up leyline binding, sure. Doesn't bother me at all. This either hits well or hits poorly. It hits pretty well. Just scry, do some surveilling here, scrying, make a construct here, not surveilling. Not how that works, but sure. Make a 4/4. Rides ends are probably not that great. Oh wow, the leyline binding. I wonder if we knew about that. We can always snare the binding and then we can play that like really annoying game. I'm probably going to go for Thousand Moon. So they are domain. Interesting. I didn't think they were going to be domain, but you know, I should have known when I'm playing an artifact slower deck that it's immediately going to be one of our hardest matchups that we could possibly face. Who would have ever thought that that's just how it works? So pop this. Go grab a synthesizer. Let's keep this Ride's End up now because Ride's End's apparently good for us. Cast a snare. Trigger the synthesizer. Take this away. Oh no, Mr. Domain, where are you going? Opponent first, we have temporary lockdown into Battlefront. It's pretty sweet. Always gotta love when you get to play like your new deck, right? Or play a new card in your deck and it just happens to show up quite often in the Battlefront, which is pretty sweet. Yes guy Oculus. Gross. We can weirdly go above this, but it's really hard because we can go over top of this, but Oculus in general is just hard to beat whenever they do that. There's a Prophets They'll draw a card. They'll grow this. They'll attack with it. We will spring load to trap it. Or did they miss a land? I think they were going to play, right? I hope they missed a land. That'd be pretty sweet for us. We get that out of the way. Not miss a land. Just helping hand. They bring that back. Okay, cool. It's a pretty good temporary lockdown target then. Or this is a good board to temporary lockdown. Temporary lockdown to the target. Now we absorb everything. If they want to bounce that, then so be it. We get our spring loaded trap back, but that doesn't really do much for us. There's that. Fear of missing out is typically the better card of the lot. This stays a 2/2 because now their edict's gone. Is it actually called edict? Offs. Edit. Oh, no. Okay. It's not edict. No spell pierce held up. We fire this off and we hit exactly a synthesizer in a repurposing bay. So we're pretty pumped about that. Make a construct, multiple lands. Honestly, the lands aren't the worst thing in the world, but we do have 2 lands coming up. Much rather find ourselves getting another battlefront or playing like the Thousand Moon Smithy, repurposing bay, and so on and so forth. And now there's a fear. There are cards in their deck that do give haste. So we do have to be a little bit worried about that. Right now, I don't think they have it. No Oculus has shown up, so we feel pretty good about that. Another flying 2/2. In terms of on the ground, though, I feel pretty confident in our game plan. There's an Oculus finally for them. I can play a Clayfire Breaks, go get a basic, gain a little bit of life. And then I can play... sacrifice this, do a synthesizer. Feels pretty good, I think. You're up a basic. We only have 1 left. I'm going to have to keep track of that a little bit better than what I just did, because I almost didn't keep track of it at all. This. I could grab a snare, but I think just grabbing synthesizer here makes a lot of sense. Because the problem is I think they're going to have a problem with how much presence I'm going to present to the board. There's a Rides In, which is a very good draw. And I will attack for 5, I think. They do have to play the enchantment that gives them haste, or Oculus just kind of sits there. Take 5, sure. Don't have quite the artifact build up right away, but... oh, they hit it immediately. Show me the helpless hand, or the recommission. Because... yeah. No? It's just attack... okay. Just attack for 4, sure. That makes sense. A little bit tougher, obviously. You have Rides In. We could play this, but I think we want to do it a little bit differently. We could have Counterspell here. Play here. If I play Repurposing Bay, I mean, you can stay if you want, brother. I don't know. You're about to hit me for lethal next turn, so I do have to do the math. But I think our play here is play Repurposing Bay, and then we're going to activate Repurposing Bay, sacking Repurposing Bay, going and getting one of these. But I think that's too much mana. So then we wouldn't be able to hold up our Rides In. So then we would have to get a Snare and then exile this, but we don't have a 2-mana artifact. So most likely we're just actually playing Thousand Moon Smithy, making a lot more constructs, swinging these for hopefully lethal. I believe it would be. That'd be 1, 2... 3, 4 artifacts would be added. That would go to 9 plus the 2 constructs are held back for blockers. So it'd be all but lethal but 1. And then we'd have a Rides In to exile whatever they attack with. So maybe we get there. Maybe we don't. My opponent going first here. I think his hand's fine. Not the most like synthesizer hand I've ever had, but it's a hand. Basic planes. I somehow keep getting every planes out of my deck almost immediately, which is wild. Maybe I have to go up on copies of planes. Okay, like I said, I just keep getting every single copy out of my deck almost instantly. So that's pretty sick. Like I don't play any other lands in my deck. As you can tell, I only have 2 more left. I didn't expect to draw 2 back-to-back planes. Is this the blue-black control deck that CGB was playing? Probably, if I had to guess. And now I have too many Clayfire Bricks. I'm going to go rip the last land out because I'd rather not draw it at this point. Clay, and then we want to do the Fable Passage to get the last island out. Then Clay Fire Bricks is just a bad card that we can discard to Famari's Vault if we find. Okay, it might just be a little bit of demon action. Don't know why I said it that way, but it's okay. We'll figure it out. Do this. Grab an island. Rides in is good, but they most likely could have interaction, so Rides in might not be able to do anything here, so I'll just go ahead and start off by making a construct. It's construct adjacent. It's basically a construct. If I make another type of creature, which these also make artifact creatures, so yeah, it's effectively a construct. 6, sure, down to 18. Gained a lot of life off the clay fires. Pretty sweet. Can't afford to flip that, which does suck a little bit, yeah. Pass this. Gain 2 life. Look at all of our precious cards in our deck. I'm out of basics. Alright, cool. Well, there wasn't a counterspell there, so that's pretty awesome. But that's gone forever. Now, do we draw a non-land source? Now, I know a lot of these lands we tutored out, so we haven't drawn as many as we might think we've drawn. But in general, it is what it is. Could be a 3 steps ahead counterspell here. Actually, it didn't have any pause last turn, so it'd be a cheap counterspell if it was to be a counterspell. Exactly the card we want on top. They could maybe make us shuffle. They don't have a way to make us mill. Could make a thing or a treasure. Unsure. Now, can we beat the extracting demon? Probably not. There's a lot of decks that if they just like play the combo piece we can't beat, but it's just how the cookie crumbles. The cookie be crumbling, that's for sure. Hit, sure. Now our construct obviously can't ever really attack here. Might as well, right? He tapped, but what's the harm in that? Cast here. Purposing bed doesn't have to be tapped. At some point they'll rip a 3 steps ahead, and then we'll find ourselves in a lot of trouble. But till then, be an outrageous robbery too. That is something we do have to think about. But we'll play a second synthesizer. It'll make a construct. Then we'll get to scry too. Pretty awesome, and both of those cards seem pretty good because one will trigger the other and do all these, but then I'll also get to cast a really strong card. Now the only real downside is we won't trigger this for free, but take a sack and draw. Deadly Cover Up could be a card that they have, but I don't even know if they have the mana for that. Yeah, or not mana, the Discover. They have the mana for it clearly, but the Discover to exile something from our graveyard. The rest, you can take my temporary lockdown. I will do it. Sit here. We have it. Whoever it said, you only have to play 1 copy. You'll always draw it, and I genuinely could not agree with them more. It is wild how truly accurate that is. We will move to combat. Force them to do stuff now. We'll attack. Another fish, double block kind of thing. Maybe sack one in response, so then we know their shield's down. Then they won't be able to play the demon and board wipe. And the demon alone won't be enough to protect them, I believe. Purposing Bay. Really only grab other repurposing bays or synthesizers. Without this necessarily being needed, I think I'm okay with doing this. Oh, there's our last synthesizer. That's interesting. We just pass. Probably do this. This will also be good, but it's whatever. Maybe I'm supposed to just dig for Elspeth. Or our opponent doesn't have anything and they can see. All right, cool. All right, so we go first here, which is pretty awesome. We'll keep. We can still go get our island off this because we can play plains to play this clay fire bricks, grab a second plains, and then we can do temporary lockdown if need be. Or we can just fire off spring loaded trap, but I would like to deck thin as quickly as possible. Could be kind of the same matchup in a sense where our opponent's playing the Caretaker's Talent deck. Unfortunately, our hand's a little awkward at dealing with that. Hey, Synthesizer, I saw you on top. Come back. If we draw a Synthesizer off top, the game's rigged. I shouldn't say that because, like, no, the game's rigged. The game is fully rigged. Oh, they're goblins? Okay. Honestly? Hell yeah. I'm for this, dude. Let's go. Boros, goblins. That'd be super sick. If you actually are, though. You actually kind of still need to be goblins. I'll be a little upset if you're not. If this is just like a spice card in your deck. Don't know why that would be in there. Can I spring load a trap one of these? Probably not. I'm probably looking to temporary lockdown. Ooh. Okay, sure. They're Convoke, maybe? Is that what they are? Alright, Battlefront. Oh, it just works every time. Man, second Synthesizer is really good. I have repurposing bay, so I don't necessarily need the second Synthesizer. I'd much rather play this Clayfire bricks, gain a little more life, go grab another land out of my deck, sacrifice Clayfire, put a Synthesizer in that way. Or even just temporary lockdown here. But we have a 4/4 construct. This card can technically remove it because it gives +X/+X for a number of creatures they control. Rides in is another option to answer this, but I don't know. This is like the War Leader call, mobilize, shelter by ghost. Okay. That's fine. So now I want to temporary lockdown. You know, it's probably not the best idea. Okay. That makes sense. At first, I was like, none of what just happened makes me happy. I could play this Clayfire bricks. Go get my land, cast Temp Lockdown, which would be nice. I can also cast this. And pay the ward, put my Synthesizer back in. Or I could pay to pop this. Go grab Synthesizer. Am I okay with that, though? Clayfire. Yeah, I guess I'm okay with that. I gain life here, and I get to make more land drops. It's a weird situation to be in, that's for sure. Grab Synthesizer number 2. Both good, but I'm gonna just grab my land here. Just let the other one go. You get to do some fun stuff where temporary lockdown only takes this away, and because of our land hit here, we're gonna get to play land, sacrifice this, and then play temporary lockdown. Pretty cool because we'll go grab a snare for this. Yeah, that all works for me. I lose my construct, but that's like whatever, I think, in the grand scheme of things. Like, oh no, a Synthesizer. A different card, actually. There. Although I could Saw Blade this and then just pay the ward and then get my Synthesizer back that way. I can just do this too. I lose my construct, but then I make another construct and it's fine. Or should be fine. I'm pretending it's going to be fine. Take another Scry 2 here. Construct up. Mars Vault is fine. We'll We'll take that as our land draw. And Elspeth would help absolutely run this game over. We do have to remember they do have Lightning Helix and this card that can pump a lot of things or make a lot of creatures very quickly. They are the Caretaker's Talent deck, sorta. They do have Urbrass Forge, but... Okay, I lied. They also play Overlord. I can temporary lockdown again. There's a Carrot Cake. This is okay. Mari's Vault. Also, if Mari's Vault is a very good way to find the cards we need. So we'll play here. I will play a Repurposing Bay. And I almost think here I would be insane to not just activate Vault and try to find Elspeth. I also can put so much pressure on the board. Almost for free. And it makes it hard not to want to do that, right? Let's go to combat. Let's attack for 8. This is almost a third of their life total. Then again, the thing about Elspeth though, as long as we make a lot of tokens, and we can do that pretty easily, and we have the mana to do it and then activate Repurposing Bay. But I don't necessarily want to activate it right now, because then it starts taking away my options for reloads. If you don't understand what I mean by reload, if they wipe the board here, say a Sunfall, or some kind of board wipe, like, ooh, Spark Hunter. You may sacrifice an artifact to do... Sure, that's pretty cool. Both are playing odd Planeswalkers, which is awesome. Sacrifice this, draw a card, but you still get to do the scry and everything. Pretty cool tech. Then I'll get to draw another card, which is cool. Scry bottom, take the draw, sure. I hold the temporary lockdown, or do I have to just rely that my construct's going to be way bigger than theirs? The only problem is technically the flyers are an issue. I don't feel like I've ever been this vulnerable to like losing to just flyers. I feel like every time here the flyers have been a big issue, which I think we're going to see that because they're going to attack with it. Okay for now, but attacking with their flyers means this is lethal if I find her this turn. Sure. I don't think they have a mana to play, right? Should be in step. Yeah. We're gonna look at 8. You miss her, which is tough. That's actually brutal. You get to grab one of these cards though. It can be the Snare, I guess. If I want it to be. Ride's End. Repurposing Bay would also be fine-ish. I think it's just to be the Snare. I understand I have the like new Coco card there, but I don't think it's necessary. 1, 2, so it's activate for 3. So I'd be short on mana to do exactly what we want. Let's see what our top card is here. Fable Passage, we bend that, of course. I snare away something. That'd be fine. That's not coming up this turn. Chandra's kind of annoying. I guess I could take... So weird what I have to take here. Maybe I'm supposed to wait and do all this after. Take Caretaker's Talent, I guess, for now. Move to combat. Here, I guess. Then, here's the thing. If I activate this, I think so. Honestly, I just grab this and just make a ton of tokens now. Pretty sweet. So now it's like, no matter really what they do, I have the lethal on board. Of course, they could board wipe me, but then that will result in me having to temporary lockdown, which will suck, but it is what it is. Do they have it? Ponder say something I don't know. It could. It definitely could. One time I would really wanted to hit an Elspeth because it would have been so sick. The snare is proving to be pretty solid here. Being able to take an Urbras Forge and a Caretaker's Talent, and we just don't have to worry about them. Typically, our answer to Urbras Forge is put a giant creature in front of it, and then it takes them 14 turns to get through one of these constructs. That still doesn't make contact. It would be the turn 15. But then if I play more artifacts, it's even farther than that. So if we rip an untap land, we'll be able to activate Volt, in which we could find the Elspeth, but I don't know if they're going to be able to make enough tokens to block. It's definitely like they have to wipe the board. Or they do that. I could do it. I could do it. They could play the same card as me.
The multiverse will be free
You
from
can almost go
disturbance.
for lethal. They do play Lightning Helix, though. So, +1/0 and give flying would put me exactly at 1 if they have a Helix. Which still has them dead. It's not particularly close. Unless this is at the beginning of combat, so they wouldn't be able to do that anyway unless they crew it up first. No matter what happens, even if they crew it normally, you may sacrifice an artifact, draw a card, sure.
All right, team. New
Card a torch, yeah, that definitely wouldn't get it done.
strike from the heavens.
Obviously, we can't allow that to hit, but we come away with the win. Definitely feel like there probably is a play that I messed up there, but okay, everyone, here we are. This is the kind of end list that I settled on. I do think Elspeth's good, even though it didn't necessarily show up today. And I do think the Battlefront is a very awesome card. It does feel a little bit weird when you draw it later in the game where you just want to play an artifact from your hand guaranteed. It's kind of like the Spell Queller problem with Collected Company, is I could cast a Collected Company and hit like Spell Quellers and do fine, or like other things that interact with the board, or I could just cast the one from my hand, even though it's less mana efficient and it does answer the kind of problem at hand. But the issue was just like having the synthesizer and being like, okay, I can snare and guaranteed make constructs and take away the creature, but if I cast this and I hit 2 things, I'll have a construct in the way that they can't necessarily get through. So it's definitely a weird kind of situation. I think the deck's fine. I don't know what I would necessarily rate this. I think like on a scale like 1 to 5, maybe 1 to 10, I'd be like a 3 out of 5 or like a 7 out of 10 maybe. It's weird because it has hands that you're like, oh, I can't lose. You know what I mean? Or you have matchups where you can't lose. But if this whiffs, you feel pretty bad, and then it just sometimes is a little too slow, even though we do have like these removal spells. But it just comes down to the problem that sorcery speed removal isn't necessarily the best removal when it comes to snare, because again, this is a sorcery speed spell, unlike Collected Company. Of course, if this was instant speed, we'd be on a whole different ball game with this deck. It would definitely be a little bit better. But a card I ended up adding in kind of into the deck as I was playing was Mice No Weak Zone, because I found myself being empty-handed or unable to activate Repurposing Bay without playing the Enigma Jewel. And maybe an Enigma Jewel is exactly what we need to play, and then we have to play like Collector's Vault over something like Clayfire Bricks, even though this does gain its life. But getting to make those extra treasures and kind of accelerate yourself or get rid of dead cards to find more valuable cards was just pretty important. So that said, this is where I'm at right now with this list, but we'll probably definitely be reapproaching this pretty soon. Whether that's adding another color or reapproaching how we play blue-white. Unsure at the moment, but that said, I hope you all enjoy regardless, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.